Right, finally, I've got it to work. Hi, I know I've sort of been a bit AFK of late, but I've had to do it for various different reasons. One's I'm not going to get into right this minute because we've got something else to talk about. Now, for those that aren't aware, Eugenia Cooney, not long ago, I think it was about 4 months, 5 months ago, stated on her Twitter that she was going to take a social media break and that she would be leaving the internet for a short period of time while she gets help. She did that, and I will find out exactly when the video was uploaded. Shane Dawson did a documentary with her. Let's see if I can find when it was published. Shane Dawson.
Hey, what's up, you guys?
No,
okay.
not that one. That's the one I want. Sure, the return of Eugenia Cooney, the 19th, so we're talking 6 days ago. So it was last week. And some drama has happened because of her return. Now, the drama is relating specifically to her and her mother, and it is generally coming from people that were once seen as friends of hers. Now, if you're not aware, Jacqueline Glenn, her boyfriend, and one of her other friends who all knew Eugenia, all spent time with her, uploaded a video, I think it was it was the day before yesterday, saying their side of the story. Because in the Shane Dawson video, she says that friends did try and help her, but it was treated with kid gloves until all of a sudden they turned into bullies. Now, from the looks of it, it looks like she is referring specifically to Jacqueline's boyfriend and her friend. That apparently what they did is they lured Eugenia out of her house into Jacqueline's house so that a mental health team could go there and evaluate Eugenia and see whether or not she needed to go to a facility. Now, Jacqueline did this with the best of intentions. She wanted a friend to get better, but she knew that it needed to be something shocking, that needed to be something that would pack a punch. And that's why she did it the way she did. Now, Eugenia's mum, on the when it happened, was calling Jacqueline every name under the sun, and was trying to get Jacqueline arrested for kidnapping, while the police were also there to make sure Eugenia went into care, because they were essentially what we call over here sectioning her. They were putting her on an involuntary mandated psychiatric hold, which is in America called 5150, over here is called sectioned. And that would mean that she would be forced for 72 plus hours to be in the facility to listen to the psychiatrists, the doctors, the specialists that are specifically trained to deal with eating disorders. Now, apart from what I can gather, Eugenia's mum did not want this to happen. Eugenia's mum did not want anything like this to happen and was pissed that Jacqueline was doing it. Eugenia went in for the 3-day hold and ended up staying. She does look a lot better. She's got more fat in her face. I wouldn't say she's put on a lot of weight. She's put on enough to where it's not as shocking. But I do think she's still got a ways to go. With regards to people saying that Shane was too light on her, I think because, for those that aren't aware, Shane Dawson has had an eating disorder in the past. He has bulimia, if I remember rightly. And because he knows what it's like to deal with an eating disorder and how you would react if somebody mentioned it or brought it up in conversation, etc., so on and so forth, and how you involuntarily react to those incidents happening. Because of his experience with an eating disorder and because of the advice from the counsellor that was helping him, he was essentially treating her with kid gloves because he didn't want to knock her progress back, which I understand. I do wish that he would have pushed a bit harder, specifically when it came to the fears about her being controlled by certain people in her life. That was glossed over. Her attorney, that also turns out to be Jacqueline's attorney, was in the room at all times. Obviously, there's Andrew in the room as well, who's behind the camera, but still, the fact that her attorney is in the room at all times is unsettling. Her mum was there when Shane walked through the door, but as Shane was walking through the front door, her mum was walking out the back door. Her mum has this thing where 1 minute she's fine being on camera, the next minute she hates it. Then she's fine, then she hates it, then she's fine, then she hates it. Now, that's a little bit weird for me, but that's just my opinion. On top of that, you also have the fact that this eating disorder was more than not eating because she kept forgetting or because it just never occurred to her to eat. That's not really the case. If you are not eating, there has to be one of several reasons as to why you're not eating. And I am going to use my own experience in this just to give you a scope. So you have people that have their bodies have reaction when they eat, which is what's happening with me at the minute, where every time I eat, I feel sick or I am sick, and it is constant. But that's a medical condition I have. It's a medical condition my gastroenterologist is aware of, and it's a medical condition I'm in the process of going back to see her about. So the reason why I've lost some weight lately is because I'm not eating properly, because my body's not allowing me to eat properly. But with Eugenia, what's happening is, and for those that aren't aware of the way eating disorders work, there's actually a Dr. Phil episode that points this out perfectly. When you have an eating disorder, you can be as thin as this pencil, right? But you see something this thick. So if, for example, I use Eugenia as an example. When she looks in the mirror, the person she sees looking back at her is more like my size, not her size, if that makes sense. She doesn't see herself as thin. She sees herself as fat. And that's the way her that's why it's classed as a mental illness, because there's something in your brain that automatically triggers that even though you are thin, and dangerously thin at that, you think you're fat. Which is strange, but that's the way it happens. Now, it takes time for that to be reprogrammed, as it does with many mental illnesses, as it does with depression, as it does with PTSD, as it does with dealing with childhood trauma and things like that. And those things are real, and those things are damaging. We don't know what's happened with Eugenia in the past. She doesn't share much about her childhood or anything like that. She just literally says, right, this is what I'm doing right now, which is playing a game or talking about a subject or playing with makeup or showing fashion. She hides away a large portion of herself, which a lot of people online do. I do. I'm on YouTube and I'm on Twitch. I've literally just come off a friend's live stream. And when I'm online, I'm one person. But when I'm not online, I'm still that person. But it's usually toned down a little bit. And I'm usually a bit more guarded, and more guarded than I am online. Which my usual viewers will know how guarded I actually am, because none of you guys know my actual age. None of you guys know my date of birth. None of you guys know anything like that. And that is because I've not told you. And the reason why I've not told you is because I don't want every single bit of my information and every single bit of my life on camera. Which is Eugenia's entitled to have that anonymity. She's entitled to have that time, and that's those bits of her that aren't public, that aren't out in the world for everybody to see. I do wish she would have named which eating disorder she had, although I believe it was anorexia. I do believe she downplayed the damage that the eating disorder has done to her. I think that was massively downplayed. I do think she was a little bit harsh on Jacqueline, but I also think she's still smarting from that. She's still hurting from that, and that will take her a couple of years for her to realise that Jacqueline was doing it for her own good. Do I think that the progression is of the whole thing is good? Do I believe that the treatment will stick? I hope it does, but I honestly don't think it will. As long as Eugenia's in a potentially compromising situation, namely her mother, then that is going to affect her long term. I don't believe that every single part of the reasons behind the mental illness and the reasons behind the eating disorder and why she felt like she had to control the eating disorder has been approached, because from what I can gather, a lot of people who have eating disorders, it's a mixture of control and being able to control something because the rest of your life is out of control, and mental illness. And with Eugenia, I think it's both, because from what I've heard, if Eugenia is truly being controlled by people around her, then that would then have a knock-on effect and would then affect her ability to do things. And if she's being controlled, she's from what Jacqueline says, every time she goes out of the house is controlled. Every time she goes somewhere, her mother's there or the driver's there. Everything about her life is regimented. It's almost like a military operation. And if she's been controlled to that extent, the only thing she thinks that she can control is what goes in her own body. And I think that's part of the reason why she's dealing with the eating disorder, is because she's thinking, right, well, this is the one thing I can control, so I'm going to control it. But she's controlling it to an extreme. And then I think there is a form of mental illness where it says, she's saying that she's controlling the food that she's eating, but she's also controlling what her mind is. When she looks in the mirror, she doesn't see skinny. She'll see somebody my size or a little bit smaller. Or, and the thing with eating disorders is there's usually not just one cause. It isn't usually just mental illness. There are usually other things on top of it. And I don't believe in the time that she's been offline that those things have been addressed properly. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it sticks. I do commend Shane for trying his best to shed light on this situation, but I think even his documentary was controlled by her camp. While she said you can ask anything, I think there were certain things that she skated around the answers to because she was too afraid to answer them, or she just didn't want to answer them. And she used the guise of "I'm not ready," which may very well be the truth, but we just have to wait and see. And on top of all this drama that's going on with the Eugenia video, Greg is saying, "Oh look, we've saved your life, Greg. You did nothing to help any of this. If anything, you've made things worse." Multiple times she said, "Leave me alone," and you just continued and continued and continued and continued, continually, and it got to the point where it was making her worse. It was making her worse. It was making her more ill. And if you truly had the heart that you claim that you have, you would have realised that. You would have realised that and stopped sooner. At the end of the day, just because some prick on the internet says you need to get help doesn't make anything change on anybody. And then on top of this, because people have called him out on this, he's now stating the same claims that he says about Shane and Jeffrey. He says that Shane is a predator. He says that Jeffrey, predator. Jeffrey tried it on with him. But he's now said the same about Rep. The Rep's a rapist because Rep won't stop talking about him. It's like, first of all, you're a public figure, so therefore you feel fair game. Second of all, you just keep giving us things to talk about. And third of all, the way that Eugenia, and I actually agree with the Rep on this, the way that Eugenia is controlled by her mother, you control Kai / Lainey. You control your partner to the nth degree. You control what they do. You control what they say. You control when they go live. You control when they do this. You control when they do that. And you control every single little bit of their life. And at the end of the day, you don't see how controlling you are. And you said that you're not happy with the person that looks back at you when you look in the mirror. That you're not happy about the fact that your career is failing. You're not happy about this, that and the other. At the end of the day, the only person that can change that is you. I do think that it would be an idea for you to come offline. Do exactly what Eugenia did. A week, 2 weeks. I've took time off before. I'm taking time off this year because I'm dealing with stuff that I need to deal with. There is things in Greg's life that we know about that I don't think he's dealt with. And his obsessive behaviour that he's had with pretty much every single partner is a worrying thing too. Every single partner that he's had, he's controlled completely everything about their life. And he had to be the one in control at all times. And if he wasn't in control, then he didn't give a shit. So, that's just my 2 penneth. This will be going live as soon as I've finished and it's processed. I know I've been off for a bit, but I'm in the process of coming back. It's just getting my head in the right space and getting the British weather to behave. It's unbelievably hot and this country is not made for heat at all. I'm sat here without my fan on because it interferes with the mic. Because while I was on my friend's live stream, they could hear my fan on and didn't want it on while I was talking to you guys. But I'll be putting it straight back on, and when I take these off, I know my ears are going to be wet because it's that hot in this country right now. And we're supposed to have the hottest day, it's later on today, but for some of you guys it'll be tomorrow. For those that aren't aware, I do have a Discord, that's down below. My friend's live stream details are down below as well, her Twitch account. I do stream on Twitch when I can, but at the moment with the heat, I don't really want to risk it too much during the day. When it starts cooling down a bit, I'll probably get back to it. And I do want to, we are planning on doing like a multi-stream where a couple of us will be playing the same game. And we'll, 3 or 4 of us will stream it. Tomorrow night is Marbles and 7 Days, so that's going to be fun. Tonight was Minecraft, so I'm building one of the hospital for one of my books in Minecraft, so that should be fun. I've got my measurements, so I just need to figure out the geometry of it. So yeah, there's a Discord down below for me, there's my friend's Twitch and my Twitch, and there's a few other things down there. But I will hopefully be back very soon. I'm just hoping this weather cools down. I'm literally, as soon as I finish this, switching everything off and just lying down. I am craving food, but it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I don't know whether I'll be having anything to eat yet. So anyway, I'm going to bugger off and cool down and watch Phil and chill for a bit. So stay safe, be good, have fun, and I will see you very soon. Bye.